Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about two important topics for functions. One is function overload, the other one is call by value versus call by reference. So what are these? Function overload is when we have two functions with the same name, nothing different in the names. And when we have such a case, if in your, let's say, main function, you are trying to use these two functions, when you say divide, compiler might be confused of which one of them you are going to use, right? So if this is called function overload, which means more than one function with the same name. But if these functions have something different other than names, which we call function signature, compiler might be able to what? Tell the difference and pick the right one. So what are the things in the signature of a function that a compiler can use? One is the name. As I said, in overload they are the same. The second one is the number of input arguments. In this case, both of them are using two arguments, A and B, so that's not also revealing. But there is one thing that is also a signature, and that's type of the arguments. If you look, this function is accepting integers, this function is accepting floats. It's returning float, that one is returning integers. That is a difference. So although they are in most of the signature the same, just because the type of the inputs are different, that is enough for compiler to pick the right one. So here, if you look, I have 5 and 3, and then 5 and 3, but two of them are defined as integers, two of them are defined as floats. And one time I pass integers x and y to this divide, the other one I pass what? I pass w and z to the other divide, and look at the difference here. So if I call this, you see in both cases it returns 1, of course, because here I'm using the floor function, right? But if I get rid of this floor and make the operations exactly the same, of course, let's see if I'm going to get the correct numbers. And you see I do, right? If you look, one of them returned exactly what? 5 over 3, but as an integer. So 5 over 3 is 1.66. But when you return it as an integer, here it is truncated. So it is going to be 1. The other one is not truncated because it's a float. So you're going to get basically 5 over 3 or 1.66. So you see here, it exactly picked the right functions and returned the correct values. And you might even try the ceiling function here, right? See if in this case it returns a 1, in this case it returns a 2, right? And whether your compiler is doing the job right or not. And you see, it clearly does. So it's very important that something in the function signature is different, so the compiler can handle what? Overloading or similar names. That's the first topic. The second topic important is called call by value versus call by reference. What is this? So in general, when we pass an input argument into a function, right, this function will create a copy of the value we pass to it, and it is going to alter that one. If that value is changing inside the function, it's this copy that is going to be altered, not the original value. That is how all of the functions will work, and this is called call by value. So let's say here I have this integer of 3, and I pass it to this top function, which I call by value. So I pass 3 to it. And what this function does, it adds a 2 to the inputs. So you pass 3 to it, and you expect the 3 to be added a 2 to it, so it becomes 5. So here, if you show the value of m, you expect to get a 5, right? But guess what? It doesn't. Because that's this copy called x that this 3 will be passed to, and it's that x that will be 5, not the original value of m. Right? So let me show you here. Look, you see that? It's m, the original value. It has not changed. It stays at 3. You see that? The original value is not changing, but this copy x does change. So here, if you go inside this function, this top one, not the bottom one, if you go in here and when it gets x and changing x, you also ask it to display x. Let's see what happens, right? So here we go. You see? M went in as 3, it became x, not became x, I mean copied into x, x became 3 as well, x changed to 5, and now it shows the value of x, but the original m has not changed, right? So you clearly see that when you do pass by value, nothing is going to what? Change on the original one, just the copy one is going to change. But there is another method of passing an argument into a function, and that is called by reference. So here you use the address operator, this ampersand, and you give the memory address of x. So instead of creating a copy of x, this function will directly go and alter x because it knows where x is. You're giving the memory address, and it goes and alters x and does not create a copy. So it directly changes whatever you pass to it. So here, if I pass to it the value of 3, right, and say, hey, give me the value of m now, look what it does to m. You see, it changed m to 5. It did change m to 5 because it directly went to that memory address that you pass m to. So in this case, m is not copied into x, m becomes x, or x becomes m, because I know the memory address of m. So I'm going to change that m by a 2, and m becomes 5. Okay, so if you want the original value to change, you pass it by ampersand, by address. If you want the original value intact and just the copy to change, you do call by value. So hopefully this video was useful to you and you learned about these two important topics, and I will see you in my next lecture. Thank you.